We are going to practice cat-cow, and this is one of my favorite movements for connecting with the pelvis, but we're going to do it in a way that might be a little bit different from what you've maybe experienced in other yoga classes if you're a yogi. If you've never done this before, that's absolutely okay. We will be coming onto our hands and knees. So if bearing weight on your hands, if that doesn't feel great for your wrists, just wait. Let me demonstrate first before you go into practice. Take as many breaks as you need. And in the next video, we will be exploring pelvic tilts lying on your back. So if bearing weight on your hands is not going to work for you, just skip this one. Okay, so watch first before you try it out. So we're going to come onto hands and knees. And we want our wrists to be directly under the shoulders and our knees to be directly straight down from the pelvis, straight down from the hips. And we're going to start off by tilting the pelvis forward and back. So if we look at the pelvic model, we've got the tailbone at the top, sitting bones towards the back, and the pubic bone is facing the floor. So when we tilt forward here, and this is where our leg bone, right here, goes into the hip socket. So this is our leg bone, the ball. So when we tilt forward, this is when our tailbone lifts up, and then we come back to neutral. And then when we tuck the tailbone down, this is the movement. So this forward movement is the tailbone lifting and the pubic bone moving back, and go back to neutral. So you can try this coming onto your hands and knees. So we can orient ourselves to our tailbone, and if you need to touch it, you can kind of dig your fingers in there. And we can think of the tailbone lifting, and the pubic bone is moving back towards your feet. So that's getting that forward pelvic tilt. So now we're going to try the opposite direction with the tailbone moving down and the pubic bone lifting up towards your belly button. So you can think of pubic bone moving towards the belly button and the tailbone drawing down. So when we can find the landmarks of our pelvis, that can help us connect with that movement. Pubic bone moving towards the belly button, pubic bone moving towards the belly button. So if you haven't already, come onto your hands and knees and let's explore this pelvic tilt. So either orienting to your tailbone or your pubic bone or both. Use your hands if you need to lift, to tilt the pelvis forward, and then draw the pubic bone toward, as if you're drawing it towards the belly button to get the rounding back. And then you can alternate between the two once you start to connect with that movement. And so notice how I'm not using my upper back. There's not a lot of movement. I'm not initiating through my low back. You'll feel your low back if you're moving through your spine. But just keep it small. Like, I know I'm exaggerating the movement a bit so you can see it, but it doesn't have to necessarily be a big movement. Just whatever is available to you. If you notice that your legs are kind of shifting forward and back, it could be that you're trying to use your legs in order to move your pelvis. But ideally, our legs are staying straight up and down. So now that we've got the pelvic movement, we're going to bring it into a full cat-cow. If you don't quite have the pelvic movement, you can spend a little bit more time trying to connect with it. And if not, don't worry, it will come. It just takes a little bit of practice. So now that you've kind of got the general pelvic movement, we're going to tilt forward first. So this is the pubic bone moving back and the tailbone lifting. And then the pelvis is going to kind of stop moving. Then we're going to start to sink down through the low back and then sink down through the mid back and the upper back. And we're going to lift the neck and the head. So now we're in our cow position. Now we're going to reverse starting at the pelvis. So pubic bone drawing up towards the belly button, tailbone moving down, and then we're going to round. We're going to go up segment by segment, rounding through the low back, the mid back, the upper back, the neck, and then the head drops down and we're in the cat position. To reverse, we're going to start at the pelvis and then moving segment by segment up the spine. If there's sections of our spine that are kind of tight or limited, it might feel like it's moving in a chunk or all together. So you'll start to notice where there's maybe limited movement or mobility in your spine, and that's okay. Starting at the pelvis, reversing the direction, and the head comes last. So make sure you continue to breathe in and out through your nose. If you are leaning forward and back through your arms, right, if there's a tendency to kind of sink back, just come back to neutral and then make your movement a little bit smaller, right? Don't fully extend or flex your spine. Just kind of do it a little bit lighter so that the legs and the arms can kind of remain pillars so they can stay straight up and down. And then it's the pelvis and the spine, the neck and the head that are moving. So keep exploring. If you need to sit back and give your wrists a little break, you can do that. And come back to this one often. When we can get really nice movement of the pelvis on the leg bones, that's going to bring us into a much better connection with our pelvis, with our core, with our breathing, with our balance, our stability. So have fun exploring this one as you move segment by segment up and down the spine.